welcome back to my channel. I've been thinking a lot recently about how everybody has different things that they do when they don't feel well. For example, some people might make a certain dish to help energize them and help get them through the day. Or some people who are really not feeling well under the weather or depressed might watch a certain movie to help boost them up and feel better. Or, in the case of many gamers, there are certain games that we play to help us feel better or get through difficult periods in our lives. And I thought today I would share some of those games with you. And many of these games are very personal, obviously, and some to this day I still will play or some iteration of them to help me get through difficult times in my life and help me feel better. So to start off the list is a game that I hold very near and dear to my heart. And for anybody who has seen some of my older videos, you will notice that this game means quite a bit to me. And that game is Super Mario 64. So this was my first game that I owned for the N64. And to be honest, I think it was the first game I owned, period. Video game that I owned, period. It was packaged in with the Nintendo 64. And this game means a lot to me, in part because it has a lot of memories of with my dad and I playing it. So my dad is no longer with us, and so I've had a lot of great memories of him and I playing some of these levels, especially the penguin racing level. Him helping me get through some of that. So there's a lot of great memories. And I was sick a lot as a child. I used to get a lot of digestive issues. So I would go to bed at like 8 o'clock, and then my stomach would be in severe pain as a kid, and I would have to take Tums or that Pepto-Bismol, like that pink stuff that you take, and it would hurt, and I'd be in a lot of pain. And my dad usually was up on the main floor, because my room for the longest time was in the basement of our house, and so I'd come up and complain about stomach aches, and he would usually be watching hockey or football or NASCAR, soccer, whatever was on. In some cases, baseball was on late at night. And that's what he'd be watching, and during the intermissions or when there was long breaks, he would say, okay, well, go put on Mario, and I would play that, and it would help me sort of settle down. It helped me forget about my stomach ache and go through it. And oftentimes my dad was really good and let me play a little longer than, of course, the intermission was, because he thought it was interesting too sometimes. So that meant a lot. And over the years, I have still come back to Mario or Mario titles, but a lot of the time Mario 64. And I was so excited to see Nintendo release a port of Mario 64 with their new 3D All-Stars collection. It means so much to me, and I can't wait to play that again and share that experience with my daughter, I hope, to pass that on. But yeah, I used to just really enjoy that, and even when I wasn't feeling well some days and it was just me by myself, I would just run around as Mario and just go through the world, the overworlds, and just have fun and make up my own imagination of what was going on and my own little story. And it was fun. I used to really enjoy it. It means a lot. Another game that I used to play a lot, and I would play it just to sort of calm down and get through some difficulties with school, because in the early years I had a lot of challenges in school. I was often made fun of or told that I had to would never be able to read properly, and I had all kinds of learning issues that they would say. And so to escape some of that, I would dive into Pokemon Snap. Oh my goodness. This game is so much fun, and if anybody has never played a Pokemon Snap game, you owe it to yourself to get a ROM, or if you have an N64 and can get a copy of a Pokemon Snap, you gotta do it. I mean, it is a fantastic game. It transports you completely away from your worries, at least it did for me, and I'm just calmly and passively just going through this wonderful island filled with Pokemon and just taking pictures of them in their natural habitat and interacting with each other. And it was just calming, right? For me, just going through calmly, um, you know, taking pictures of Pokemon was fantastic. And then, submitting those in for review by Professor Oak used to I just found it enjoyable. And I would it's not a long game. This is not a long game at all. And it would take me maybe like a couple hours, because I would get really, really good at it. And I'd spend a couple hours and I'd beat the game. And I restarted all the time, just keep restarting and going through it. Even though I knew what to expect and I knew how to play it and I knew all that, I would still do it because it was enjoyable. It was the journey, the calmness, and I just really enjoyed it. And I'm because of that, and because of that experience and nostalgia, I'm super hyped for the new Pokemon Snap coming out for the Switch. I just am so excited for it. Another game that I would play an awful lot was Pokemon Stadium. So another Pokemon game, right? As I said, I used to love myself some Pokemon. At this moment in time, I still didn't own a Game Boy, or Game Boy Advance. I'd never played through Kanto. Well, actually at this point I did play through Kanto because I had a friend that let me borrow a copy of Blue as well as their Game Boy. But I couldn't go back and replay, right? So this became sort of my substitute, and I really used to enjoy it. And I would go into these games and pretend I was a gym leader or I was a challenger. What Pokemon would I have? And I would make these whole wonderful, made up stories of how I would have gotten these Pokemon. And it was a way of escaping, again, from school and my troubles that I really enjoyed. And I just have such a fondness for it. And that's why when my daughter, just out of the blue, lashed on a Pokemon, it means a lot, because Pokemon has meant a lot to me. And every Pokemon game that I've played means a lot to me. So yeah, very important and an excellent title. Again, if you haven't played Pokemon Stadium, I highly recommend it, or even Pokemon Stadium 2. It's another really good one. So I may not have had a Game Boy right away, but one Easter I remember getting a Game Boy Advance. And the game that came with it was Pokemon that I got finally was Pokemon Sapphire. My family finally remembered, and I finally got it from my daughter because she stole this in her room. I finally had got my own Pokemon game. And this means a lot because when I got this game, it was from my grandfather. And what was very odd, but also healing, was my grandfather died a week and a half before Easter. So to have his name on it meant a lot to me. And so going through that, I was very close with my grandfather. I would see him almost daily or every other day, and I would spend weekends with him and my grandmother. So I was very close. And it was hard for me. It actually was devastating. And it was so difficult to get through that. But this helped. Playing my own journey and going through the Hoenn region just took me away. And I've said before why it was one of my favorite games, and that's part of the reason why I love Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, is because of that. Is because it helped me heal and helped me get through a very difficult period, not only in my life, but my family's. Because when my grandfather passed, our entire family dynamic changed. My dad became different, became more into alcohol. My mom became very depressed and still is depressed from that. My sisters changed. My uncles changed. No longer did we do family gatherings. It all started just breaking apart. So there's a lot of change that occurred, and this game helped me get through that, and it will always mean so much to me, and I take as best care as I can of it. because I don't want to lose it or anything to happen. This is my original copy, and it means a lot to me. So I'm always careful when I tell my daughter when she does steal it to be careful with it because it means a lot. Another game that sort of gets me through, got me through some difficult times when I was in grade 8, was Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm sure some of you might have watched the cartoon Yu-Gi-Oh! The anime. I watched it as a kid. I was right into it. I got all the cards. I was going to be a dual monster champion. I was so really into it and loved it. And so did my younger sister. So we really got into this. And so this one here is Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist Soul. And what was cool about this is it came with 3 cards. And I just loved them. And I was so excited to have them. I think it was Skull Dice, Graceful Dice, and there was another one I don't remember off the top of my head. But I loved this game because I could become a dual monster champion. And I loved it. I loved kicking Seto Kaiba's ass. I loved it. I loved being able to make my own decks and add my own magic and trap cards and monster cards and effects and synergy and all of that. I loved it. And the best part, every character from the anime was here. It was great. Taya, Joey, Yugi, Yami Yugi, Pegasus, right, was there. And it kind of transported me away from my troubles in grade 8 because, again, I was going through a bit of a challenge of moving into high school, leaving behind friends. It was difficult, and it was also at this time that a lot of the family dynamics were really breaking up, and so it was tough. It was very tough, and that game helped me get through it. Another game that I hold super dear to my heart, and I don't have the case for it. I don't know where it went. Moving to different places, it must have got lost somewhere or thrown out. But I'm glad to have the disc, and that is Sonic Adventure to Battle. Right? This game for the GameCube is super important to me. I remember one summer, I went over to my friend's house who had a lot of games, and I keep in touch with him all the time. Still, he's an excellent friend of mine, and he was very lucky. As I said, he got a lot of games and a lot of game systems. He had 2 younger brothers as well, and he had a copy of this game for the GameCube, and I watched him play it, and I instantly fell in love with the soundtracks, with the way the levels worked, the platforming, the Chow Garden. Oh my God, I loved the Chow Garden. I was so obsessed with the Chow Garden. I needed to get this game, and so I remember coming home and telling my dad I needed to get this game, and I gave my dad, because I had a part-time job doing yard maintenance, and so I gave my dad $50 because that's what my friend paid, and at the time, and I thought, okay, that's where let's give my dad $50 and he'll get it. The issue was is he went to a flea market and kind of got ripped off. They charged him $90 for this game, and so he put in the extra $40 to get it for me, and I didn't know it then, but it was going to mean quite a bit to me, because what ended up happening was that summer my one cat died, but also there was a lot of issues. My mom got really, really sick, and so we were all very confused and didn't know what was going to go on, and so we didn't understand at the time. Now I know my mom needed a hysterectomy, but she was bleeding a lot and constantly bleeding, and needed to have her uterus removed, but we didn't know at the time, and there was, of course, the scare of cancer, uterine cancer, and things. So it was very tough, and I absorbed myself into Sonic Adventure 2, and just loved it, and completed everything on it, and raised Chow. They were a savior, the Chow. Just caring for them and transforming them transformed me essentially as well. And I really enjoyed it, and it helped me get through. Another game that helped me a lot, and it not just only helped me, but my sister as well. And this is a game that has meant a lot to her, and we have a lot of memories of this, is Super Smash Bros. Melee. My sister and I would play this together all the time. And, opening this up is nice because there's something in here called a manual. You don't get these anymore in games. Very rarely. But, I just love this game so much. Being able to play with my sister together with this game helped us through some tough times with, as I said, my mother, being unwell and staying in bed. And that's what my mom did, essentially just stayed in bed. And this was a year. It took a whole year for them to get this figured out and moving, and for her to have her surgery. And so she was sick a lot and just stayed in bed, and that game helped my sister and I get through. It also allowed my sister and I to become pretty close, and we still are pretty close because of this game. And I would never trade that in, and it helped me quite a lot. Another game that helped me quite a bit in my, I think this would be in my grade 11, grade 12, was because we moved, right? We moved houses, and I really needed something to keep me occupied because I was sort of missing my old friends that just lived down the way, and moving up from one school to another when you're almost finished, you're going to be a senior, really was hard. And a game that helped me through that, and I still play to this day, is The Sims 3. So I just have this, and this one here is the supernatural one, but I have every expansion and downloadable content for The Sims 3. The Sims 3 is fantastic. I have played Sims 1, Sims 2, Sims 3, and Sims 4, and I love The Sims 3 the best. Fantastic game. It transported me into a world that I could do whatever I wanted, right? I could be anybody I wanted. I could have a life in this game, and it's a life simulator for those people that don't know. And it's a time sink for sure. And I used to just get absorbed into this world and my own story, because I'd make my own story up. And I love stories. As I said before, I love stories. And I'd make these stories up to go through it and experience something different and try different things and have a house and start from nothing and have kids and sort of plan a future. And I enjoyed that. I really liked it. And this was really a really cool game that helped me through that transition to a new school, and I love it. And it also helped my sister as well as a lot. My younger sister, she really played that a lot as well. Another game that helped both when my grandfather passed right up until I'd say starting university was this game, and it means so much to me. Sid Meier's Civilization 4. Now, I've never played the first or the second. I've played the third, but then I got this game here. And all I can tell you is this is transformative. This game helped me realize some of my ambitions, helped me realize that I wanted to be a leader and I wanted to help people, because in Civilization you can do, you're running an empire, right? And you can go to war and you can make peace and alliances and go for resources, and there's a lot of strategy. It's a turn-based strategy game, and you're managing an economy and things. And I started to realize who I am, sort of. I wasn't a warmonger. I don't like war, and I realized that. I rather make friends and make peace and do it that way. And so I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about history. I love learning, and I got to expand my mind about different world wonders, different cultures, and this was just a wonderful escape. And I used to play this, I remember, on weekends, all weekend long. You wouldn't see me. You wouldn't see me. I'd just be playing this. And it was great. I love it. And I have so many great memories going through this and winning science victory. It was my very first victory that I won. That wasn't the time victory. And or a score-based victory, I guess is what it was back then. Loved it. And I realized my love and passion for science. And the great game helped me immensely through that. A game that helped me a lot in university was Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS. Great game. I love Animal Crossing. I played it on the GameCube, and I've pushed it. I think everybody should experience it once. It's not a game for everybody. Obviously, it's like a life simulator or like a town meeting simulator and all that. But I love this one. Being the mayor of your own city, how wonderful was that? Designing every detail where everything goes, not only your house, but everything. Loved this game. And in university, for those of you that have gone, who have not gone through university, and those of you who have, this might resonate with you. You get to a point, usually in first or second year, where you get lost. You don't know anymore. What am I here for? Why am I going through this? Why am I putting myself through this crap? And professors saying you're not worth it, and feeling like you're just a number, and you get lost, and you get disillusioned a lot. It's very common, and I see it a lot with students that I'm teaching now. And I tell them, I've been there. Let me help you. Let me help you through it. And it was tough. But this game gave me some control. And it came at the right time to give me that control. And so I could do that. And I loved it. I loved it. I think at the time I was in my master's when I had that this issue with the control, because I didn't feel like I had control, and this helped. So great game, and I love Animal Crossing, and it means a lot. The very fact that I had that control and I could decide where things went. And I think the last game that helps me a lot, even to this day, and this is just for the franchise as a whole. So this is not just this specific game, but the franchise as a whole. Would be the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Now this one is Grand Theft Auto 4. I loved it. The Grand Theft Auto series, being like a sandbox, open world, do whatever the hell you want. Steal cars, be a part of gangs, and just having fun is a great way to let off steam. I used to, in this game in particular, right? This game in particular, I think it was Nico, his name was, right? The character. I used to just have a terrible day at university, or I get a test score back that wasn't what I wanted, or I thought I could do better, or at this time my one sister she was relentless, attacking everybody in the family and causing a lot of trouble. I would get angry, and I couldn't get that out. And I could when I played Grand Theft Auto. I could just go out and steal a taxi, or I could go out and just ride a helicopter and go over the town and just joyride or cause mayhem. Just take a grenade and just whip it into the street and watch the mayhem happen, and watch the ambulances and the police and the tanks, and it was great. I used to have so much fun, and I still do. To this day, I still play Grand Theft Auto 5 when I have a bad day, and it gets really stressful, in part because I can just grab a car and just pew and take off and get immersed in Los Santos. I love it. I love it. And I can just do what I want. And I make sometimes really weird rules where I'll say, I will not attack anybody or do any aggression or do anything until someone does it to me. And I'll just get in my car and I will drive around the city, follow the rules, do everything until that one person bumps me in the back of my fender bender and hits me, or T-bones me, or some guy bumps into me and pushes me and says, what do you want, man? I lose it. That's it. I'm no longer being nice, and I just go off and go berserk. And it's cool because I do this with Trevor, because he's known to just blow up and just be nuts. So I do that, and it's so much fun. It's just so much fun. I leave there feeling better. And that's the point of all these games, is that these games in particular, after I finish playing, I feel better. And I enjoyed them. And I will never trade them in, never get rid of them. I will always keep all of these games because they have an important meaning to me. And that's why I say that video games are more than just somebody entertaining themselves or a time waster. They provide an escape. They provide healing. They can provide experiences, just like a novel or a movie can. And I know many people out there escape into TV and movies when they don't feel well. My wife often does, right? When she doesn't feel well, she escapes into different television shows or a movie. That's okay. Or a book. That's perfectly fine. You gotta do what you can for yourself to help yourself. So with that, guys, take care.